Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another review here on Pez of the Mind. I am James Phoenix. With me today is Chris the Mole,
Hello.
and we are here to discuss the seventh and final season of Once Upon a Time, as we have been doing each season these last few years. Yeah, it finally bit the dust. I give them credit for trying. Yeah, you did. You called it. I give them credit for trying. I did at least. I at least felt like, as opposed to season 6, I felt like in this. What?
I was pointing out, remember our last review? When we did the last Once Upon a Time and you mentioned season 7 sounded so amazing and what you'd seen was so good, it's definitely going to get more seasons.
I didn't say it was definitely. I said I thought it had a good chance. I was wrong.
No, it didn't. Did you not see this? You had a good chance. This is fucking terrible.
Was better than 5 and 6.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
This is so bad, I would gladly watch season 3 Peter Pan on a loop. This is the worst it's ever been.
No, strongly disagree. I said it's not. It's not as good as the early seasons by a long shot. No, but I would even say, okay, maybe it's right on par with 5. It's not as bad as 6, because in 6 you could tell that they were clearly out of ideas. They went from being out of ideas and throwing some shit at the wall to, oh, we had this black fairy, clearly had this black fairy idea years ago, didn't bother to set it up, but it's the only ending we have, so we're going to do it. To this, okay, we have a slew of new ideas. We're going to try these new ideas out. We actually know where we're going. We actually have some plot. We got some good actors in here, like Adelaide Kane playing Drizella. We got some good options of places we're going, but especially, like I said, it was, they built up the Gothel story and that worked. It just got to, they started off with it being of a, okay, we're going to reboot it with Henry. And then they kind of realized, okay, we'll make it more Regina's thing because the Henry thing is, not totally there. They had a lot of great ideas. It's just that, especially when they got near the end of the season and they found out they weren't being renewed, they threw like 5 more things in that they had wanted to do later that they ran out of time on. And that kind of really hurt it. And while it did take a few episodes to really build up before they realized, okay, now we're going to move from we're trying to shot for shot season 1 to here's the new shit. Once they did that, it was pretty good.
Is anyone else allowed to talk now?
Help yourself.
Literally every time I talked, you then just talked over me.
I didn't hear you talking. I apologize.
This was shit. It was completely shit. Season 6, Regina was still interesting. Mr. Gold, while had been done to death, was still interesting. Hook and Emma was still somewhat enjoyable because of their backstory and stuff. There was still stuff that was enjoyable. This, even Regina and Mr. Gold didn't work. I didn't give a shit about them at all throughout this whole season. And they're like, no, this is going to be completely different. Completely different. Reuses all of season 1's plots. And this is going to be completely different. It's a new adventure in which Belle's been left behind. And you're like, oh, okay.
Well, we knew that going in. They told us from the word go that she wasn't in.
Mr. Gold's story now consists of the whole fucking season going, I'm going to kill you. Oh, wait, no, I can't. And leaving the room. It's completely shit. This is the worst shit I've ever seen in Once Upon a Time. Like I said, it's so bad, I would gladly take Peter Pan over this entire arc.
Yeah,
like nothing worked in this entire stuff. Like they had an ending. I'll give it one thing was good on this whole season, and that was it had a conclusive ending to wrap up all of the seasons. However, even that was done shit. Like literally, it's like I've got a jelly bean. Haha! You can now leave this realm for no reason. And you're like, oh, this is great. Remember when this used to be interesting and intelligent? Oh look, now we got Hansel again. He was better. He was better season 1 with the little kid and the blind witch. That was way better. Oh, we got Cinderella. Better in season 1. Oh, Rapunzel. She was better in the thing. She was in the season she was in when they had the shadows and stuff. It's like, oh, that's so much cooler. Like the only possible good thing was the main bad guy for season 7, and even he got written out like a bitch so they could do Rumpelstiltskin again, which was unfortunate, and he went nowhere. So I'm like, it's done nothing.
I thought there were some high points. Yeah, Facilier got wasted, and that sucked. But that very obviously happened because they planned to lead him. He wasn't really the main villain. Gotham was the main villain for the season, and then Facilier came in and was sort of a secondary thing and was obviously going to get promoted to main villain in 8, and then they couldn't do it, so they ended up abruptly killing him off because they wanted to Rumble again, which really was not fair. But
I argue they shouldn't have done Rumple again.
that's a very valid argument.
No, what I would say they should have done is they teased he wants the Dark One's powers. Then, at the end, for the final episode, it should be him with the Dark One's powers, because now we have someone who's not a coward, and someone who doesn't have the love inside him, and someone who's just vicious with the Dark One's powers. And then Rumpelstiltskin can actually be on the side of light, trying to help him against the Dark One. It would be amazing, and it would help everyone out, but no, we got evil Rumple, who's meant to be Wish Round Rumple, who doesn't act like Rumpelstiltskin without any remorse or completely evil. He acts worse than Rumpelstiltskin in season 1 and 2's flashbacks to the actual fairy realm. He acts nicer than them. This one's just doing stuff to be a dick, not necessarily to be because he's evil, and there's a difference. Like, he's a troll Rumpelstiltskin instead of actually evil, and I'm like, that's shit.
Okay. There were, I felt that, yeah, while there were certainly some negatives in this season, I felt that there were a lot of positives. Yes, the first maybe 4 or 5 episodes when they were like almost shot for shotting season 1, yeah, they didn't do that very well. And the actress who played Cinderella was not good in that role.
Nope. And we also had stuff like, we got a worse Alice to Wonderland. She appears in this and serves no purpose in being Hook's daughter to be a plot device. And it's like, oh.
Sort of. I liked Alice. I'll get this. I liked Alice as a character. The character was not Alice. If she had a different name, that would have been a great character. Mind you, I have not seen Wonderland yet, but I agree that there was really very little making her Alice. I liked the concept of her as a character. I thought she was an interesting character. I thought that showing the backstory between her and the other Hook, I thought that really gave them a deep, meaningful relationship and that they were able to build on that. The relationship with Alice and Robin was really well done. I felt like if they had been the basis for the thing and not the non-existent love between Henry and Cinderella, that would have been a hell of a lot better of a season.
Yeah, like, I'll admit, I didn't even like this Henry. This actor was terrible as Henry, to the point that when they bring back the original Henry, he actually outacts this guy in every fucking scene he's in. And that guy, as you've seen in any of our other videos, wasn't that good an actor. That's terrible. You're being outacted by someone that can't act. No.
Fair enough. Yeah, Jared Gilmore did do a great job. I felt like his acting has gotten steadily better, and even that he's been away a little bit, I think it was still very good. Granted, part of that was because he was allowed to go over the top hammy of, oh, I'm evil, but it was still really good compared to the other guy.
To be fair, he didn't even go over the top with his evil. All of his evil came from a good place. He was way toned back. Because to be fair, Rumpelstiltskin was over the top evil. This guy was just
Rumpelstiltskin was over the top troll. He wasn't evil.
No, but like I said, Henry wasn't over the top evil. Literally, he said, you killed people I care about, I'm going to make you pay. And he was doing it in a serious way. He wasn't over the top, like, woo, I'm going to throw a cat down a tree or something stupid. He was literally completely unhammy throughout his whole role as Henry is evil.
I didn't say he was hammy. It was hammy. I'm just saying.
But said hammy.
I did say hammy. All right.
Yes, you said he was hamming it up and stuff. I'm like, no, he wasn't.
No, I believe I just said that he was over the top. But if I did say hammy, I apologize. No, I more meant just that because he had. I'm trying to think of how to put it. I think the problem between him and the other Henry when they were acting together is that he had more clear motivation. It's okay. You know, my grandparents were killed. My life was ruined. I want revenge on the woman who did this. Whereas the other Henry was sort of, the other Henry, I didn't really understand. Like, his motivation was obviously, okay, save the day. But beyond that, it's what exactly is right. Okay, get your wife and kid back. Okay, you know, I just felt like he wasn't as motivated.
I could see that.
Yeah. I just felt like it was like it got a little blah because it was painful. By the time they got to the end, it was very clear. Oh, this is now about Regina. We do not give a shit about Henry anymore.
Yeah, I will say what you call it, the having the motive. That was my point, because yeah, like I said, you'd said Hammy, which is the opposite of that. That's like M Bison in Street Fighters. Hammy.
Yes,
This
that's I
guy,
I, I
this guy
used the
was
wrong
more serious.
terminology. I used the
Yeah, I
wrong
was like,
terminology. That was my bad.
yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I think there were good things. Like I said, I think the Alice and Robin relationship was well done, and Alice was great as a character. If she hadn't been Alice, I like the
And
relationship they set up with her and Hook. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I will ask one question, which may be
Mhm.
the weirdest question I've had to ask.
Okay.
Is the black guy in the show that looks like Bobby Lashley, is he a frog?
Black- okay.
He literally had the Bobby Lashley cap and stuff on when he was dating Food Cart Chick. And because he's tied to the guy from the Frog Princess, I assume he might have been the frog from the Frog Princess and she might have been the girl.
Correct. Yep.
I couldn't remember the names. Admittedly, that's probably a better way of asking it than is the black guy that looks like Bobby
Like Bobby
Lashley a frog?
Lashley.
A frog? What? How does it work? What are you asking? There's multiple questions with this sentence.
Yes, but no, yeah, no, that's the two from Princess and the Frog. That was supposed to be their shtick.
Which I will say, that's something I didn't like. To be fair, I will say I didn't like that in 5 or 6 when they did something similar with Jafar.
Mm-hmm.
When they brought him in, then had Aladdin and Jasmine, and yet they're not really focused on.
No.
Like,
Yeah,
you got him as the main villain, and the people that he's actually the villain to are just like, eh. It's basically Kingdom Hearts writing. It's fucking terrible.
yeah, I always, that always kind of upset me. I always felt that they were, and when season 6 they only brought Aladdin and Jasmine in because they knew the fans were expecting it, and that they really didn't have a plan to do it and really didn't want to. They always felt like that whole thing with them was shoehorned in.
I don't think they were shoehorned in. I think they did it because they wanted to do it. Because after the previous show ended, there was no reason to bring him in because it was like 3 years later. There was no reason to bring Jafar in unless they wanted to. They had a reason to, and like, hey, it'll be a nice way to do something from Wonderland, and we can do Jafar. Yeah, it's a different actor because the other actor's busy off making better shows, but it's a case of if they're doing that, they might as well do Aladdin in him. It's just after a certain point in the show, they stopped writing him as well.
Yeah, like I said, I felt it was more along the lines of it wasn't necessarily about Jafar. It was we want to bring in Aladdin and Jasmine because we did Jafar in the other show. We didn't do Aladdin and Jasmine, and it feels weird to bring in Aladdin and Jasmine without Jafar being there. So I think it was more they were forced to bring in Jafar because they wanted to do Aladdin and Jasmine.
Yeah, which is weird because they didn't even focus on Aladdin and Jasmine. They focused more on Jafar than those two.
Exactly, which was, I don't know. And Jafar didn't even get beat. It was like, oh, he randomly turned into a staff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, I know that has to do with the whole staff lore that was established in Wonderland, but still, that was anticlimactic.
It was, but to be fair, yeah, that was heavily a big main storyline in that.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I'll get a pass for that kind of. But
okay,
it's just what I meant was if you introduce the heroes and you've got their villain in there, they should be the one to defeat their villains. It shouldn't be they're completely useless damsels in distress of the week, and in comes Henry and stuff like. That's the reason. Like I said, Kingdom Hearts is garbage because it's like, oh, Aladdin's shit. Here comes Sora, and you're like, well, I don't want fanfic character. I want Aladdin.
Which is
There's a reason Aladdin sold way more in the movie theater than fanfic the movie would.
True. Anyway, back to season 7. Yeah, like I said, it definitely felt like they had some. I think. I don't know. It's hard to say. It seemed like they had a lot of good stuff going here, and what really flawed them was trying to use Cinderella again. I think that's what really killed it because number one, that actress was not good. I mean, no offense to the actress, but at least in that role, she was not good.
I would make the case if they were going to do the series the way they did, why didn't they just make her the one from Frog Princess? Like, if they made her that character, she would have been tied to Henry from the whole season. It makes sense why he's after them the whole season.
Yeah, that could have worked.
It'd be a brand new character.
Yeah, that would have worked too. They could have just had her be like a friend of Tiana's or something, and that would have made sense.
And that's something that annoys me as well when they're like, oh, we've got multiple books. There's like an Italian Cinderella. There's a French Cinderella. There's like, Japanese Cinderella. He goes through stuff like that and he goes, oh, okay. And yeah, okay. And you see Cinderella, she's in the same blue dress. logically, each culture would just do her differently. The blue dress comes from the Disney one. That's the American one made by made by Disney, not a
Yep.
Nazi. Sorry. To be fair, Walt Disney was a Nazi. That's already been proven. But yeah, he was a Nazi. But yeah, it was a case of, yeah, it's the blue dress is more American. It should be something else.
That would have made sense. Yeah.
If you go in that route. But no, and then they're like, oh, we're gonna make the evil stepmother Rapunzel the whole time.
That was
And
actually kind of clever. I like that.
they've merged characters before, but this one just felt completely like, oh, okay, I don't care.
Yeah, and I feel like they kind of ruined the whole Rapunzel thing because they set the whole thing up over and doing the Rapunzel thing, and then he's like, yeah, it's like, okay, she's there for 5 minutes, then she goes becomes Lady Tremaine, and then Alice is locked in the tower the whole time. I'm like, no, you like ruined 2 stories in one shot.
Yep, and I was like, I just didn't, I didn't like that.
Yeah, that was weird.
It's like even Gothel, whatever she's called, didn't do much. She was just there.
Well, she did, like I said, for the earlier part of the season, she was being held captive. Then she got free and was sort of biding her time. And then she was bringing back the Coven of Witches in order to do the spell to give her ultimate power or whatever the hell it was that she was doing.
Yeah, but every one of those things went nowhere. She was just sort of there to be there.
Well, they went nowhere because they kept ordering her. Like I said, the idea was that she was building up a big plan behind the scenes, and then it climaxed with her trying to cast a big spell, and they ended up managing to stop her, and then she got turned into a tree. But they did do a good job setting up her backstory of why she was doing this. Oh, she was a wood nymph fairy, and when her people were killed by man, she hated man, and so she turned evil. There was at least a good backstory there for why she was who she was and how that made sense, and I kind of liked that they did that. I did feel like her plan was a little bit too long run. Like she could have gotten more to the point a little bit sooner. And I also felt like if they were going to build up this coven, they could have made the rest of the coven relevant, known characters that we hadn't seen yet, so that it was more interesting. Like I did like that I liked that they brought in Madame Leota. I didn't like that they had her spew a couple of lines from the ride and then not have her show up again.
Yeah, see, with Gothel, I felt she went nowhere. Her backstory, I preferred it better when we were mocking it when it was in Maleficent. It's basically the Maleficent movie story as her backstory, and it wasn't good there. Here, it's even more written badly, and you're like, oh, okay. And every single thing, you're like, oh, it's gonna go somewhere. No. Oh, is this gonna go some? No. Oh, there's a serial killer. Is this gonna go somewhere? No. And everything, it was like just and you're like, just go somewhere, do something. This was literally a whole season of watching paint dry. It went nowhere.
Well, like I said, the plot lines did go because they built up the whole Rapunzel and whatever plot line where she managed to get her daughter back when they realized the horrible things that she had done to do it, and that she had been treating Drizella like shit and sacrificed herself to save Drizella. And Adelaide Kane as Drizella was amazing. She was the best actor on the show.
She was okay, but
and she did a great job.
She was okay, but it's basically Regina Light crammed into like 4 episodes, and you're like, oh.
Sort of, but I like the fact that it was slightly different with the whole loving her sister thing and really, realizing, what she had been doing wrong because and what had happened to her all those years ago in terms of, thinking that her mother, being mad that her mother killed her stepmother and all that. And I thought they really had a good backstory for her and that family, and it did a good job. But the problem is because they were long-running Gothel's story, they ended up writing that whole thing out before they finished Gothel off, and it kind of broke the story apart. And all the little things that were like, they didn't go. It's because they weren't all meant to go. They were meant to be the little pieces that were each going together to build up to the revelation to Henry that in fact all this is real, and he has to come to the acceptance that it is real in order to save the day.
I would make the case to you. Go back and watch season 1. They did the same things to try and convince Emma things were real, and they all built to something, and they did it well, and they built upon it well, and it built up gradually. It was cool. This was like, I was like, oh no. The only good thing about this is at least they won't get a season 8, because if this is how they wrote 7, oh my god.
Mm.
Which is, I'm going to say, I don't see this as a cancellation. I see it more as a mercy kill.
Fair enough. I felt that with the change up to the way things were, I did feel like it felt like the writers were at least trying again, as opposed to season 6, where it felt like they had completely given up. Here, it felt like they were at least trying, and they had a lot of good ideas they were putting out with the whole.
They were trying.
The whole okay, Rapunzel is Tremaine, that was cool. The bringing back the other Hook and having the relationship with Alice, that was really good. Alice's relationship with Robin was one of the best things in the series, and they built that up really well. Establishing more Robin's relationship with her mother and how they've been for all the time for him that we've missed between the 2 seasons. Reestablishing the sister bond between Regina and Zelena together, and they really did a lot of things that because they had a lot of good ideas, but they were trying to frame them all as part of as basically around the Henry Cinderella storyline, and that was garbage. And it really
I'd make the case season 6 had a lot of good stories. Like, I'm sorry, the evil fairy and how she became the black fairy and how it's Rumpelstiltskin's mother and what made him how he was. That's a great story. It was just executed really piss poor.
It was, but the thing is that the problem I had with that story is it came the fuck out of nowhere.
So did most of this season. It's literally a time skip to make it the fuck out of nowhere. This whole season is out the fuck nowhere.
But because you establish a time skip, you see, there's going to be new things. Let's see what new things are. With the Black Fairy, it was out of nowhere because they turned around and said, oh yeah, the cause of all the horrible things you've had to deal with, Emma, when other than the Black Fairy dust that had come up once or twice in a blue moon, they had never mentioned the Black Fairy before. Yet, based on the way they ended it, it seemed obvious that they had this idea for a while. If they had at least said, if they had at least been sprinkling the idea of, there's evil fairies, or there's a black fairy once or twice throughout the course of the series, it wouldn't have been, because really the only way she's the cause of everything is that she is Rumpelstiltskin's mother, and he is the cause of everything.
Yeah, but that's the same thing as most of this came the fuck out of nowhere. Like, there's multiple stories and different variations. When the second they met the author, he mentioned there is no different variations. You follow people's story and you write them as they are. That's how this is. Suddenly they're like, no, none of that matters. It's a multiverse. And you're like, no, that's not what was established with the author. Why the fuck are you coming out of nowhere? I also felt like they didn't need to leave Belle behind. Like, they're the ones that told the actress, no, we're not rehiring you again. And by doing that, they made Rumpelstiltskin, who I've got a pop vinyl over there when he's gold. I loved Rumpelstiltskin. Him and my actual favourite was Regina, but him and Regina were my 2 favourites in every season. And even when they're bad, I've enjoyed them. These ones, I couldn't even be interested in for 2 seconds. I'm like, oh, she owns a bar, it looks shit. Oh, even the location looked bland compared to Storybrooke. And it's like, I'm like, oh, you've ruined the whole thing.
Yeah, I wasn't too keen on the whole Rumple Guardian thing. Like, okay, this seems like out of nowhere, and all of a sudden we're just throwing the Dark One lore out. But it wasn't a good story, but I give credit to Robert Carlyle for at least selling it, particularly in the scenes when they did bother to bring Belle in, like when they ripped off the first 10 minutes of Up. That was really well done, regardless of everything around it. Yeah, and I did like that he did sacrifice himself again at the end.
I will say they didn't throw out the Dark One lore. Because to be fair, they still had the dagger. They were still looking for it. And it was all meant to still be the Dark One. It's just this was something that was meant to affect him now.
Also, all of a sudden there's a prophecy and the Dark One. But they threw out part of the lore because it had always been established. Because the entire shtick about Rumpelstiltskin is that from the word go, he was always a coward, but his intent, when he even said it outright to Balefire, was, after he met Zoso, was, I have this idea, Bay. We can be saying, okay, if I get the powers, I can use those powers for good. And the entire thing they beat into our heads was, you cannot use you cannot be good when you have these powers. They own and control you. And all of a sudden, because he's in love with Belle, now he can suddenly choose not to use the dark powers, and they just fade away.
Yeah, but to be fair, they established throughout as well each season they add something new to the Dark One anyway that seems to undo the previous. Like, it's like Transformers logic with the Dark One every season.
That's true.
Like, she kissed him, and True Love's kiss broke the curse multiple times with that. So, and plus, he wasn't really the Dark One anymore because he broke the curse originally, and then he was, and then he's not, and you're like, oh.
Then he became the Super Dark One.
Yeah, and it's just, no.
Which I can understand that if they'd established that, because of how he got the Dark One powers back as a Super Dark One through the Enchanted Sword, that, okay, the rules are different now. If they'd at least just had one throwaway line of, Rubble, just somebody questioning Rubble about this and him going, but you remember, I didn't become the Dark One this time by killing anybody. The rules are different now. And even if you didn't explain those rules, that would have been enough to go, okay, that's why this is this way now. All they needed was one line.
Yep, but I was just making a case of they do that every year with the Black One. Oh, well, not the Black One, the Dark One.
So that would be slightly racist.
He's not black. He's Robert Carlyle. It's fine.
I know.
But yeah, it's a case of, like, do you remember the season where it's like, it's not the Dark One, it's the Dark Ones. There's like 1,000 of them now, all waiting, and you're like, no, it's called the Dark One. Stop this.
Yeah. Well, the idea was that these are the souls of the people who had previously been the Dark One, not that they were themselves currently Dark Ones.
Yeah, but it was weird, and apparently they'd all been waiting, and there was this other bullshit, and it's like, no.
And it also pissed me off that, Rumble is going to find this guardian, and that's how the darkness is going to be destroyed. When they went out of their way to set up this whole thing of, the darkness is Nimue and this whole backstory, and then just ignore it.
And to be fair, like I said, the Dark One's changed so many times.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And to be fair, it's been broken, like I said, multiple times with True Love's kiss and other stuff. Maybe there was something. It's the time skip. Like I said, nothing in this season was written well. Even the rules made no sense.
Okay.
Like, they're stuck there, and they have to use a magic beam to go between the portals and all the other stuff. Because they can't travel between realms. But yet Robin Hood's daughter returned from backpacking at the beginning of the season, holding a thing, and we're all supposed to be like, oh, okay. And it's not, we weren't even on a whole daily loop either, as they saw with the flashback. It was different. It wasn't like some of the Once Upon a Time on it, they kept resetting itself, sort of, so they wouldn't know about the time difference. But this one, she literally came back from backpacking and traveling the world. What? And now they can't leave because curse? What? That makes no sense. Like, why was she backpacking? It's even funnier because that's something that literally only seems to exist to piss people off who notice that they don't know how to write their curses. They're like, oh, what should we do, Robin Hood? I don't know. She comes back from backpacking. With her she can have the big rucksack on. She can have gone to many countries. You mean outside of the curse? Isn't that not allowed? It's fine. No one pays attention to this. It's fine. If they ask, we'll just say Rumpel did it.
Yeah, the parameters of this curse were weird because even Zelina was in another state. She was down 2 states away, sorry, but still, she was 2 states away, and yet that was okay too. They really didn't establish the parameters of how this curse worked because it was obviously different from the other curse because there weren't barriers involved that were restraining people where they were. I don't know.
They were. They remember the little girl did to Cinderella when she mentioned you can't go past that line. You can't leave. You can't leave where you are. There was a scene where the little girl literally mentions it to her mother that she can't leave the curse.
Huh. All right.
And I was like, no, it's fine. Come on. We'll make it. And starts to try and walk and stuff, but then gets pulled back at the last second by something else.
That's right. The odd coincidences. Yeah, it wasn't a physical barrier. That's right.
Yeah, which means because as the daughter said, you can't leave. She left. Robin Hood's daughter literally left.
Yeah, which is hilarious because the entire point that they established in the earlier episodes was that Lady Tremaine and Victoria Belfry, whatever her name was over there, was trying to gentrify the neighborhood by spreading them apart and making them leave the neighborhood.
Yep. Unless you could make the case maybe where Zelina was, like storybook where it was meant to be bigger than you thought, maybe that's part of the curse, but the other part of the barrier wasn't. Like it's in like that shape.
Yeah, if the curse was like running down the west coast, and if you tried to go east, you would get hit. Yeah, that could make sense.
Yep. It still makes no sense why she was backpacking like through a different country. But
yeah, no.
But yeah, Hook, like I said in this, he just wasn't interesting. I thought, oh, okay, maybe he'll be interesting, but it's Wish Realm Hook. It's not even the same Hook we care about. And as a result, it's not the Hook we care about, written in the worst possible way, because this is after they've stopped being as good as they were when they wrote season 2 and stuff. Played by an actor who's not as good anymore as he once was. Like, he seems a little out of it now, mainly because the scripts are so bad. Like, he can only do so much of it, and it's like, oh, but yeah, I don't care. Seeing him like that is like seeing Devil May Cry when it was DMC, and then you're like, whoa, it's the Dante ripoff, where it's Dante, it's meant to look different and be a different Dante. I don't care, I want regular Dante back, and enough people did that we now got DMC 5. It's that whole thing again. It was a terrible version.
See, I thought they did a good job with that Hook, because they set up that, okay, up to the point of the curse, he was the same pirate, went through a lot of the same stuff, but he became a different, rather than staying a pirate and ending up allied with Korra and being as evil as he was at that time and still continuing to seek revenge on the crocodile. He actually changed much earlier. He found love because he ended up with a daughter he didn't expect to, and that changed him. He gave up pirating and gave up all his, his revenge scheme to care for his daughter, and that love motivated him to do so many things to try to save her and to be a much better person than he was, and that they really built up that relationship really well between the two of them, and the struggle of, you want to see them together because they couldn't be, both because of the heart poisoning and because of the curse. And so they did a really good job with that relationship. The only thing that was off about that whole thing is saying that, that she was Alice, of Wonderland, even though, they only showed her Wonderland for like 5 minutes. They really didn't need to do that. They could have just given her another name and said she was somebody else, even if it was an original character. But other than that, I thought their relationship was well done, and showing the motivations of Hook, trying to get back to his daughter and all the things he's willing to do for his daughter, showing that love has completely changed him from the man he was. The same way it did when he met Emma. He just met her later, and it took longer to happen. So I thought that was kind of a parallel of, it's not just that Hook, any character can change, even an alternate Hook can, even though, because he wasn't sure that he'd be able to, as a wish for Hook, if he'd be able to change, and he did. And, he got a happy ending being with his daughter. I thought that was one of the highlights. Though the real highlights of this, when everything else from, was Drizella's acting, and then the Hook-Alice father-daughter relationship, and then the Alice and Robin relationship. That was all kind of the highlight of the season.
That's fair. I'll say, for me, the highlight of the season was, and second of all,
fair enough. Anything else? You want to go to final thoughts?
It's up to you.
I think we pretty much covered everything. Like I said, Princess and the Frog was wasted. I like the actor who played Facilier. He did a really good Facilier, but they didn't use him worth a damn. It was a waste. Which is partly because I think they were going to use him later in the next season. They didn't get it, but he was good for at least portraying Facilier, even if he wasn't used. Tiana and Naveen were a waste. They really didn't do much. The storyline with the beignet truck was okay. I know, she's just, has to be a. And then they made her royalty when she wasn't supposed to be royalty in the original story. I felt that kind of hurt the character.
One other thing I didn't like was the final episode when they go to Storybrooke.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, is this a story? It's Storybrooke in the past. Oh, are they still cursed? Because the way they were acting wasn't, but it turns out they weren't. Because the way they went, we've been through this before, invasion, and start to shoot. I'm like, they wouldn't act that way. They'd at least, especially if it's two regular young-looking girls asking for help. None of those people are going to try and shoot them with a crossbow. That's not their character. Fuck off! You've just ruined all their characters.
Fair enough. Yeah, I can kind of see them being at least a little suspicious, considering usually when people randomly portal into their town, it ends badly, but not to that
I
extent.
agree. I agree with being suspicious. I don't agree with like grumpy, someone who's always throughout the whole series been nice and protective towards women, suddenly picking up a crossbow and trying to shoot them and going, "Get them, invasion!" When they are to say, "No, we just want your help." Oh, yeah, you need our help. We've been there, invasion. Get them. You're like, no, that's not who he is. That's not who Grumpy is. You've ruined his whole character.
Yeah, that was a little weird. Mm. But overall, yeah, I think season 7 did have some good points. They had a few good things that they did put in there, but it was surrounded by a lot of crap that didn't execute well, and then ended with even more stuff that could have been good had they had time to develop it thrown in, and it just ended up as a mess at the end. Final thoughts, Mo?
Is this scoring as well?
I don't know. I mean, do you want to? I don't know.
We have all the other ones. I don't know why we wouldn't with this one,
All right,
unless
go for it. All right,
you're
go for
worried
it.
because it's a bad one. But
No, I mean it's going to be low. I know that.
yeah, this season had no redeeming qualities. It made everything that was good previously shit. It took a shit on stuff that was good that wasn't even included in this season. They just added it at the last second to take a dump on it. It's complete shit. The only people I could see maybe liking this would be people who are just going to go, "Oh no, I like Once Upon a Time, so I'm going to have to like it." But you shouldn't have to like it. You should be able to dislike stuff. I'm going to give it 2 thumbs down. I would say avoid it entirely. The best thing to do with this is, I don't know, watch a synopsis or something on YouTube. Maybe watch the last 2 episodes just so you got closure, and just watch 1 to 6. Avoid this piece of shit. Like, this piece of shit is so bad, I would recommend The Room over this. I'd recommend Spider-Man 3 over Season 7. Hell, I'd recommend Dragon Ball Evolution over Season 7. It's that bad. It's fucking garbage. But yeah, over to Jim.
Fair enough. I agree. The season had a lot of weak points, especially when they tried to make the primary driving force the Henry Cinderella relationship. When I like the actor playing a Henry, and I thought he did an okay job, but the actress playing Cinderella did not do a good job with that role. And their relationship.
I will make one reference just to make it easier for Jim, because I know he likes Power Rangers.
Go for it.
This had more weak points than Eye Guy, and he's covered in eyes.
Nice.
I like Eye Guy.
Eye Guy's great. Speaking of which, we got to review that book you have. But anyway,
I haven't got that yet.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's out until it was out this month. But I was like, well, if we're not reviewing it this month, I might just leave it. I might get in a couple of months or something.
That's fair. Anywho, yeah, I definitely had some weak points. Primarily the fact that the Henry Cinderella relationship was not really believable. It didn't have the same chemistry as other relationships that we've seen on the show, and I feel like the actress who was portraying Cinderella was miscast. I don't think she was particularly good in that role.
Who was the other woman on the show? There was another woman on the show. I can't remember who it turned out to be, but Henry had great chemistry with her. When he was actually with her, that one actually had good chemistry when he was like with her for a few scenes, and nothing came from it, and it existed for no reason, and therefore it was terrible. I was like, oh, is he going to fall for her instead?
Yeah, that's Drizella. That was Adelaide Kane. That's why I said she was the best actor of the season.
Yeah, but I meant, I don't even mean it acted well. I mean, it was written well. Like, they slowly fell in love accidentally. Like, the best couples in Once Upon a Time have fallen in love by mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Rumple and, besides maybe Rumple and Belle, because they fell in love in the original realm or whatever. But even then, that was meant to be an accident, and we saw a couple of bits.
Yeah.
You had, like, Regina and Robin Hood. That was cool. That one was built up okay. Besides Robin Hood being a complete joke to the name Robin Hood, it was still built up well that way. So was Emma and Hook and stuff. It seemed like, oh, this is gonna be that type of okay. This is gonna be the relationships we like. Cool. No, she's dating Bobby Lashley, who's a frog.
Yeah, and
Bobby Frogley. or would you prefer Froggy Lashley?
Either way. But
I'll go with Froggy Lashley. I like that.
yeah, that sounds good. Anyway, and no, that was that the Tiana thing. Yeah, that
Oh, okay.
that's
Who
the
the
other
hell?
one.
Which one was the one you said you had a good relationship with?
She was the not really Cinderella's stepsister.
Oh, okay. Now I know which one you mean. But yeah,
Yeah, she was the one that was the daughter of the villain that wasn't perpetually 14 in a coma.
yeah, I didn't like that character.
Fair enough. Like I said, I thought Drizella did well, and I thought that's primarily because Adelaide Kane is a great actor, and I thought that she took what could have been an incredibly mediocre script and gave it a little.
Was she the one you said was the best one in the whole series?
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you meant Rumpelstiltskin. Not Rumpelstiltskin. I thought you meant Rapunzel was because I was like, oh, okay. She was a good actress. She was just giving terrible shit.
Yeah, but I thought that given what she was given, I thought she still did a good job with it. That's a testament to her acting ability. And a lot of the people that I talked to about Once Upon a Time agreed that she and Henry had much better chemistry than he ever did with his supposed true love Cinderella. And it would have been an interesting twist if they had spun that around, that he ended up falling for her instead. That would have been really cool.
I would also make the case: why did we have to go this route?
Which route?
Making Henry with Cinderella?
I don't know.
Didn't he literally have a girlfriend in season 5 or 6?
He did. He was dating Violet, the girl who he met in Camelot. Yes.
Yeah. Couldn't it have been her? Like, see them grow up together, maybe have a daughter that way, and then maybe they have to try and link them up that way, like she's lost her memory, or bring her back or something.
A lot of people would have liked to see that. I believe when asked about that, the producer said something about the person you date in high school is rarely the person you marry. Just because it doesn't have a comment doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It does happen. You could have gone that way.
Oh, I completely agree. The person you date in high school isn't the person you normally end up with. But they didn't date in high school. They dated in a fucking fictional world in which fairies and wizards are trying to kill them. That kind of bonds them together for life.
Exactly.
Jesus Christ, that's terrible. Oh, yeah. No, you wanted it to try and be a reboot, as you said, even though it heavily relies on you seeing 1 to 6 in order to understand most of it. Therefore, it's not a reboot, as I was saying the whole time.
Yep, it's a requel. Anyway, as I was saying, yeah, like I said, I did.
Like, if this was a complete reboot, the whole plot line of who Belle is would be completely shit.
Yeah.
Because you don't see her. The whole line of him wanting the Dark One's dagger wouldn't work. Regina and Henry wouldn't work. Most of the stuff wouldn't work if it was a reboot. Most of it relies too heavily on you seeing the original stuff.
Yeah. Also, I feel like there was some undertones thing that they were going to reveal that they never got to. Because there was way too many coincidental hints to this in the earlier part of the season. 2 things specifically that kind of sealed it for me. They revealed they have the character of Cinderella, and Henry meets her, and we see the backstory of their relationship.
Yep.
But with the character of Cinderella, there were 2 things that stuck out to me when they were showing flashbacks of her backstory. Because obviously she ended up being the stepdaughter of Tremaine and having the Cinderella story. But 2 things stood out here. Number 1, during one of the early scenes, with the one where she's going back to find Henry but doesn't find him, so she leaves her shoe behind so that in the granny's bag so he can find her.
Snitsky?
Yeah. But anyway.
I thought where you were going. You were going Snitsky. Okay.
Yeah. Well, makes sense. It shows a reboot, so he'd be undefeated. I
think he wants to be defeated.
Oh. Anyway, what I was saying is there's a point basically she leaves the slipper there, but there's a point where she's addressing her horse, and she refers to the horse as Philippe. That fact combined with when we saw the younger the flashback younger, from when the whole the family first came together after Rapunzel got out of the tower, when we see the younger Cinderella, she's wearing the white top with the blue overdress. The dress that Belle is known for wearing, and Philippe is the name of Belle's horse in the Disney Beauty and the Beast movie. I feel like there was going to be some kind of undertone where she was also going to be a version of Belle, and they ended up abandoning the plot line.
Yep. But I will say there is one thing which I will just slightly point out, which may have been I don't think they addressed it on the show, which is
Okay.
weird because this is the type of thing they should have pointed out.
Mm-hmm.
Do you realize they technically got one thing right with Cinderella?
Okay.
Who's Cinderella's love interest?
Prince Charming.
Same as Snow White, isn't it? But when you follow it through logically, Henry is royalty because he's descendant from Snow White and them and Regina. He would be a prince, and he's charming. Logically, because of his grandfather's name, he would be Prince Charming. But they didn't address this at all.
No, they
He
did
could have
not.
been there before Prince Charming. That would have made so
Yeah.
much sense.
And I feel like they were going to go somewhere with that other line because I feel like if they had revealed that she, her story before the whole Rapunzel and Cinderella thing came in, because remember, she wanted to kill the prince because the prince killed her father. We never followed up on that. I'm almost wondering if that prince was actually Beast, or was a beast, and that through it, yeah. Hashtag Suplex Kingdom. Anyway, I feel like there might have been some plot line there where like it was a version of the Beast, and that through whatever happened, he got turned back into a prince, or it's like Rumble, where he's a beast because of how he acts and not whatever. But he was a version of the Beast and did the thing where he kidnapped her father when he was asking for help, but instead of ended up being rescued with her, somehow her father ended up getting he lied and took her, but then ended up killing her father anyway, and she managed to get free, and that's why she wants revenge on him.
I'd also argue with Rumpel, he's a beast because he is a beast. Look at his skin. It's like a fucking monster. He's a monster. He's literally a monster.
That's true. That's true.
But one thing that, like when you mentioned that with Belle and stuff, that's something this season did too much of. It worked in season one because it was only Rumpel that you were tying to everyone in a certain way by making him multiple stuff. That was fine. There was too many composite ones here, like, oh, this is Belle and Cinderella. This is Rapunzel and the stepmother. And like, why? Why are you doing two at a time and to try and make it different? That shouldn't be a thing. You should do new characters or new stories.
You would think. But anywho, getting back to we were doing final thoughts, then went off on another tangent.
Yeah, you were giving your score and thoughts.
Yeah, but like I said, I feel like it was better than season 6. I'm maybe on par with 5. 5 might have been a little worse. But it was definitely not nearly as good as the earlier seasons. So if I was going to rate this, I'd probably throw this 70, 75 out of 100 maybe. I think there was some good things there. I think there was a lot of enjoyable moments. I think there was some good things there. I think there was a lot of enjoyable moments. I just think there was a lot of problems surrounding it. The miscasting of Cinderella, the lack of people caring about that relationship, not bringing Gothel's story to fruition soon enough. I felt like they could have had maybe a little more focus with the Alice Robin thing. Obviously, they didn't do a job with hooking Alice. They could have done something better with Rumple. The one scene with Belle where she died was good, but I felt like they didn't really use him very well at all. And then, of course, when they got near the end and realized we're not getting renewed, and they just threw everything in that they could have possibly ever wanted to do to get it out of the way. And I felt that really both killing off Facilier and not seeing him come to fruition, and then everything else they threw in at the end, just kind of really hurt things overall. But there were definitely some highlights.
Yeah, like as he's coughing, I'll just say, like Rumpel, like he mentioned that if you watch season 1 and stuff, the reason Rumpel works is he has a reason for everything he does. Exactly. This time, he has no reason for anything besides not killing people, which you don't need a reason for that. It's not killing people.
Yeah.
Like, not everybody on the street, if you ask them, what's the reason you're not killing anyone today? They're not going to be like, oh, my love interest. No, there's no reason for it.
Because I'm waiting for the purge. No, but yeah, I mean, his reasoning was I want to get back to Belle, but they made that really ambiguous as to exactly what he did or didn't need to do to get back to Belle. That didn't really work.
Yeah, they made the case of he wasn't allowed to kill or be evil.
Yeah, pretty much.
So then you constantly had him just going, I'm going to get you. And then the enemy going, no, you won't, because you won't see Belle. And he's like, oh, curse, and then leaves.
Yeah.
That's not Mr. Gold Rumpelstiltskin. This
Yeah,
new
that's go.
one.
Oh,
It's fucking terrible.
I'm gonna steal Regina's magic so I can find my magic knife again, even though that's gonna fuck Henry over. Rumble, why'd you do that? That fucked Henry over. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, and it turns out I was wrong.
Yeah.
Whoops, and then just leaves. And nothing came of him fucking Henry over either, really.
No, not really. Just Regina being pissed at him. That was about it. But yeah, like I said, I think there were definitely some good things here, but I think all there was a 70, and that's at best.
Oh, I will say there was one scene I liked.
Okay.
And only one, but the rest of it's terrible. But like I said, watch the final 2 episodes. It's when Henry goes with the pot and sucks all of the ink out of Cruella's hair. However, the whole scene is ruined by the fact she literally just showed up 2 seconds ago.
Yeah.
But it was still a cool idea and a cool scene. It's just she literally just showed up 2 seconds ago. Like the whole final relied solely on circumstances.
It did. It really did. I did like that they didn't, because everybody was wondering, oh, what about Witch Henry? He's going to be mad as because we saw that. And I like they did at least want to go back to it. But I feel like if you were at that point where that wasn't going to happen, just let the season end with, with Gothel the thing, wrap up Facilier in the finale and let him be the final villain. You could publish a couple of graphic novels with the storyline of the Wish Realm with Henry if you wanted to. Or a novel or something. I mean, you could have done something with that rather than cram it in there in the last 2 episodes. It just didn't seem necessary.
I think they crammed it in there because then it includes the author, original Henry actor back, so it was a way for him to be back and give him a role when the other Henry's around, and tie together all the stuff because like the author can just change anything, so therefore all of this shit can happen.
Mm-hmm.
It was basically a get out jail free card. That was the reason they used it.
That worked. Yeah, that's true. But overall, like I said, there were some good things in this. There were some things that worked well, but not nearly enough of them, and they were heavily overshadowed by the things that didn't work. And that's kind of a shame because there was potential here, and it just was nowhere near realized. It wasn't as bad as the entire Black Fairy shit, but it was not good.
It was definitely better than the Black Fairy shit.
Yeah. Anyway,
this was so bad. Birds of Prey, the TV show, was better.
Okay.
I'm not sure if anyone's seen that, but I own it because I bought it just because it came with Gotham Girls on as an extra.
I only know about it because you told me.
Yeah, it wasn't that good.
Nobody does it like the Birds of Prey.
That wasn't their song.
I know, but it should have been. Anyway, so this has been season 7 of Once Upon a Time. I'm not sure exactly when, but at some point we are going to go back to something significantly better for our last review.
Month. We said it was going to be next month, didn't we?
Okay, so fair enough. Next month we are going to look at something significantly better by going back, and I have not seen it yet. I know Mole has recently watched it for the first time. We are going to go back and watch Once Upon a Time in Wonderland and cover that, since that happened before we started doing these.
Yeah, that happened. It happened as we were doing these, because to be fair, we started around 2-3.
Did we? Didn't think it was that early. Fair enough. Because
remember when we were doing that, because we can do half a seasons.
No, it couldn't have been that. I know it couldn't have been that early. I mean, unless we went back and we reviewed the earlier seasons, it couldn't have been that early, because I didn't start watching until the beginning of season 5, because I binged the first 4 over that summer to catch up.
We might have gone back and done it, but I remember we were talking about the 2 halves and doing the seasons.
Yeah, well, 5 and 6 were that way, so I think we might have gone back and talked about them. But in either case, yeah, we'll cover Wonderland and wrap this up.
Yeah, Wonderland's written pretty well.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they did with Naveen Andrews as Jafar. I hear he did a really good job.
But yeah, this was just this was the worst thing ever with Once Upon a Time in it.
Yep.
This was garbage. I can't even believe they did this.
Mm.
Like this show, they should teach a class on this show on season 7, because this show is literally how to get your TV show cancelled or how to fuck up a TV show in one season, and that's this.
Okay. So anyway, Mole, thank you for joining me. And yep, This has been Once Upon a Time Season 7, and we'll see you next time for more good stuff. Peace.
Peace.